Hello and welcome to This Week in Agriculture, a special edition focusing on the GRDB's interventions as it relates to the management of paddy bugs in Guyana. As you know, the second crop of 2019 is now fully underway, and already there are signs that paddy bugs will be a major problem for rice farmers across the country. And so therefore the GRDB has brought in the big guns. They have brought in two consultants out of FLAR. We'll be learning more about what FLAR is in this production. And of course, what role the GRDB, its consultants, and you, the farmers, will be playing over the next 2 years as we seek to bring the paddy bug problem under control once again. This Week in Agriculture is produced for television by Matrix Video Productions and Advertising, based in East Berbice. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder.
The GLDA is advising the general public that the transport of animals from one administrative region to another must not be undertaken unless permitted by the competent authority within that region. It should be noted that the transport of cattle, sheep, goats, and swine should only be done between 6 hours and 18 hours. Persons wishing to transport animals out of the region should first contact the GLDA's regional office or representative or the GLDA head office on 220-6556. This requirement is intended to safeguard the health and safety of our animals and citizens. A message from the Guyana Livestock Development Authority, the Ministry of Agriculture.
The Guyana Rice Development Board is reminding farmers that the effective use of insecticides for managing paddy bugs require the following steps. Mix the insecticide properly. Fill the motor blower or spray can halfway with water. If insecticide is a powder or granule, then dissolve the recommended rate in a bucket before adding it to the half-filled blower or spray can. If the insecticide is a liquid, then add the recommended rate directly into the half-filled blower or spray can. Shake the containers containing water and insecticide. Add water up to the 13-liter mark, then shake again. The sprayman is now ready to spray. Determine the swath based on the wind direction and speed. Ensure overlap of the spray mixture for best results. Be warned that in order to be effective, the spray swath needs to overlap, especially when there are more than one worker applying at the same time. If the spray swaths do not overlap, the bugs will thrive in the unsprayed areas. They will continue to feed and multiply. A message from the GRDB, Ministry of Agriculture.
Climate change is now a real issue for Guyana's agricultural landscape. The Hydrometeorological Services Agromet Unit is urging all farmers to be aware of the weather factor and its impacts when planning their agricultural activities. The unit is further urging farmers to make use of the products tailored to their needs that are now available on the Hydromet website at hydromet.gov.gy. Click on the Farmers and Drought Monitoring Bulletins. These products will allow you to access various information such as seasonal outlooks and agricultural advisories. A message from the Hydromet Service, Ministry of Agriculture.
It is a given that in addition to any exposed part of your body, the clothing worn during pesticide application will be contaminated with whatever chemicals you are using. All pesticides are dangerous to human health, even those persons exposed indirectly. Always wash clothing used in chemical application separately. A message from the Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Control Board, Ministry of Agriculture. The second rice crop of 2019 is now well advanced, some 90,000 hectares sown thus far. And yes, some farmers are still only now sowing their crop. For some farmers, flowering is just around the corner, the period when the rice crop is most vulnerable to damage by the paddy bugs. For farmers in regions 2, 3, 5, and 6, the threat of the paddy bug looms large. The GRDB has already confirmed that the bugs are present on the mares, on dams, and around the rice fields. During the last two crops, especially for the farmers in regions 2 and 6, paddy bugs significantly affected their yields at harvest time, despite them engaging in multiple cycles of pesticide applications, some as much as 14 times during the life of the crop. This crop, the presence of the paddy bug at this time in the life of the crop bodes ill for the productivity of the crop. That is, if the insect is not adequately managed. Farmers say the more they spray, the more the bugs invade. So the question is on everyone's mind. What has caused this explosion of paddy bug presence in the farmers' fields, and where are they coming from? To address this question and chart a remedial way forward, the Guyana Rice Development Board, GRDB, has called on its international partner, the Latin American Fund for Irrigated Rice, FLAR, for help in diagnosing the problem and prescribing a menu of measures to mitigate the situation, ultimately regaining control of the dreaded insect. This help has materialized in the persons of Dr. Ed Pulver, a renowned internationally acclaimed entomologist and researcher, and Mr. Santiago Jaramillo Cardona, an agriculture engineer with a master's in sustainable development and the environment, specialist in agronomy and water harvest. These two gentlemen spent the past week in Guyana, visiting every rice-growing region, interacting with farmers and visiting their fields and places where the paddy bugs were found to be present, on meres and dams, vegetation surrounding rice fields, with young rice about to blossom. At the end of their week-long period of investigation, the team presented their findings to the board of the GRDB. They also shared their thoughts with us on This Week in Agriculture. But first, let's understand the significance of this intervention. What is the Latin American Fund for Irrigated Rice, FLAR?
FLAR is a rice consortium of 18 countries across Latin America, including Brazil, Colombia, Central America countries, Dominican Republic, and FLAR has been working for 25 years developing breeding material for rice, and as a part of our effort we have released GRB 10, GRDB 15, that is our new variety with excellent field behavior and quality.
Based on their findings over the week here, Mr. Cardona said that it is clear that farmers now rely solely on the application of pesticides for the control of paddy bug and other insects, a situation that the team feels has contributed to the magnitude of the problem now facing the local rice industry. He feels it will take a concerted effort on the part of all stakeholders to reverse the problem, with farmers taking a lead role in this regard.
The only way that farmers at this moment are fighting paddy bugs is with a chemical strategy. And we are really clear that we need to focus on an integrated pest management practices. Because it's not the insecticide is not the only answer. We need to start looking for planting date, seed treatment, biological control, testing different molecules, to avoid an excessive application of insecticides that can cause a lack of balance in the ecosystem. We have to take care to our natural insects that lives in our field that can guarantee balance in the ecosystem.
Dr. Ed Pulver, the second member of the two-man FLAR team, known for his straight talk and bare fact presentations, says during his visit in 2008, paddy bugs were present, but not at the levels they are today. He posited that the problem that is now being experienced is due to a departure from the basics of rice cultivation. The renowned expert on rice has diagnosed the over-reliance on insecticides to deal with insect pests such as the paddy bugs. Dr. Pulver stressed that insecticides kill all insects, including the beneficial insects such as spiders and ladybugs, which are natural enemies of the paddy bug.
And it's a great pleasure to see the progress that's been made. If you look at where we started around 25 bags per acre. Today we're up to 40, 45. Major advances in productivity. As we've made these advances, farmers have also started developing practices that allow them to spend more money on the crop, if you want to say. If you think that you're going to get 45 sacks, you're going to start not allowing insects into your crop. And this is multiplied, it's being added all the time. We talk to a lot of farmers today that start putting on insecticides at 10 days. They're mixing it with their herbicide, they're mixing it with their fungicide. Today it's paddy bug. Tomorrow it will be another insect. We have made such biological disturbances that we're on this pesticide treadmill. And the faster it goes, the faster we add till we collapse.
The experts stressed that the only way to regain balance in the management of the paddy bug is to get off the pesticide treadmill and return to the basics of an integrated pest management system. Dr. Pulver and colleague have since proposed a menu of measures to begin this process, but warns that while farmers are expecting an immediate fix, there is none. Only measures to mitigate against the damage that will be wrought, measures that the GRDB has already begun across the country.
We're starting a new program to get the farmers to use these chemicals very rationally. And it's excellent that we can start on this next season. But right now, these farmers are wanting immediate solutions. There is no immediate solution. GRDB is doing about the best it can by offering to spray the areas around the farms to get rid of the inoculant. And we hope that greatly reduces the incidence of the insect in the inside the crop. That we want to amplify. Not only amplify, but also put better attractants in the canals and stuff that we can get these insects to start aggregating, and that's called trap dropping. Well, that's next season also. But we have a major problem, and it's been, in my opinion, and it's a little difficult to say this, but farmers are convinced that the insect is coming from the savanna and from the reserves. That is so rare that an insect would get out of control like that. But it's happening. And I still think that we can manage this crop if we just manage the insect, if we get our balance back, and be very careful with our insecticide.
Dr. Pulver estimates that once farmers seriously adopt the measures that are being recommended, then control can be realized over 2 to 3 crops.
When we've had situations like this in the past, it's taken us maybe 2 crops, 3 seasons. If you get good collaboration with the farmers and you have a good extension program. Ghana has tremendous rice potential, okay? There's no reason for us being in this problem. We have good scientists, we have good research staff, we've had good extension staff. One problem we have is we have high rate of turnover of young people in the extension service, providing these services to the growers. We need to be more sustainable in that area. And we can continually provide better services. I'm highly favoring growers associations like GRDB. This is the key to getting something done that's in the private public sector. The growers are paying for their services. We have these growers associations throughout Latin America. They're not dependent upon the public system. They're not a drain on the taxpayers. It's the farmers paying for their own services. And we have this now across many countries. The U.S. has this with all of its crops. And it works. And it's a means of really having an effective system. So I'm highly, highly pleased with GRDB.
During a meeting with quarantine rice farmers at number 63 village on the quarantine, farmers had disclosed that they had abandoned seed treatment because, according to them, it didn't work. This position was supported by Rice Producers Association boss and GRDB board member Lee Kilrambridge. The farmers were at the time refuting the expert opinion of Dr. Pulver and Dr. Cardona that there was an overuse of insecticides and other agrochemicals that was causing a biological imbalance, one in which the natural enemies of the paddy bug had been all but wiped out. After farmers were asked to explain how they went about treating the seed and the dose rate of whatever chemical they were using, Mr. Cardona found that it was inadequate on two fronts: the method of application and the dose rates. I asked him to explain this position and to elaborate on why seed treatment was so important as a first step to regaining control through an integrated approach.
So many farmers are treating seeds in a different way. Some farmers are using Pronto, some farmers are using Flip, but there is no evidence that Pronto can be absorbed by the roots. The only product that at this moment we have confidence in is Flip, but they are varying a lot the types of treatment, because some farmers are treating directly in the sack. Some farmers are soaking the seeds in a tank. Some farmers are spreading all the seeds into a patty. And that kind of divergences cause that maybe they are not applying enough quantity of the right dose per kg of seeds. And that's the reason why sometimes the control doesn't work well. At research level, we need to start standardizing this kind of seed treatment to give the growers the best advice. What is the main way to treat the seeds, what is the right dose per kg, and what kind of persistence of the product you can have during the first 25 to 30 days to guarantee that all the beneficial fauna can establish in the field. Seed treatment is a key factor. The first month of a crop is critical because all the natural enemies are establishing in the crop during the first month. But after some visits, we saw that some farmers have not the desired effect using seed treatment, and sometimes they are mixing herbicides and insecticides in early application that, in our opinion, cause a disbalance in the crop.
Even before the arrival of the two FLAR consultants, the GRDB had implemented its board-approved intervention that was a response to the cries of rice farmers, mainly of Region 2, for help in spraying on areas surrounding rice fields, such as abandoned adjoining fields, meres, and alongside dams in rice-growing areas. Deputy General Manager of the GRDB, Ms. Alison Peters, explains the interventions now underway in this regard and the role farmers are expected to play in the exercise.
Over the past week, we had the privilege of having the two consultants here from FLAR to assist us, as the GM and others have been saying. But prior to their visit, work at GRDB has started with the spraying of dams and the rice growing areas in order to try to reduce the level of paddy bugs within the rice growing areas. We have been told this is a good plan, and hence we have heightened that program for this season so that we try to reduce the levels of the paddy bugs actually entering the rice fields of the farmers. Towards that end, and the continuation of the program, as Dr. Pulver said, he sees 2 to 3 crops for us to really reduce the levels of the paddy bug in the system. Mr. Santiago and maybe some others from FLAR will return to help us to work on our program towards the reduction of the paddy bug in the system.
The success of this program of spraying will also depend on the cooperation of your farmers. What are some of the things you're expecting from farmers as it relates to them facilitating your activities here?
Well, being available for the program, setting the timelines on which we can actually be there to effect the spray, cooperating with the staff when they visit, accepting the program as it is in terms of the chemical that we're actually using for the spraying to reduce the levels, and generally making contact with us if our team has not visited them. We have paddy bug management officers in each region. Also, we have regional superintendents in each one of the rice growing region. Our numbers are basically up, and so they can contact us. If they don't have our numbers, we ask you to scroll it after the program so that they can contact us if we have not reached them as yet.
And it should be noted that all of these interventions are free of cost, isn't it?
Yes, the interventions
and the farmers,
are
laborers.
free of cost. The GRDB is supplying the chemicals, not to the farmers, but during the spraying process. We are paying for the spray persons to effect the spraying in the fields, and we're there to supervise the spraying.
Head of the GRDB's entomology department at its research station at Burma, Dr. Vivian Baharali, who is spearheading the interventions now underway, stressed that farmers have drastically upped the number of applications of insecticides to the point where it is of environmental and biological significance. She said the GRDB has always recommended threshold-guided application of insecticides, that is, when damage or the numbers of insects passes a certain number per square feet. But farmers are doing calendar-based applications in a preventive approach, which has created the biological imbalance now being evidenced by the proliferation of the paddy bugs.
Paddy bugs invade when there is a food source, and normally that would be when the rice is in the heading and flowering stage. So an invasion can be expected, or more often than not happens during that period. So with the frequency of applying insecticides, either while they are applying herbicides or with a fungicide, would have created an imbalance in the environment, because we know that there are several other organisms like spiders, ladybird, beetles that fight against the paddy bug with us, but the numbers are so few, and that has to do because of the number of applications that are being done without having an insect problem in the field. The program that we're doing right now to get rid of the inoculum of paddy bugs on the alternate host, which specifically is the boiled seagrass on dams and meres in abandoned fields and so on, the paddy bugs would have invaded very early this season, and in some cases there's the opinion also that it would have been a spillover from last season. As it is, while the paddy bugs are on the alternate host on the dams and meres, they have been in aggregation, and it is very easy for us to get rid of that inoculum while they are in aggregation. As the field is coming into the susceptible stage, which is heading and flowering, you will find that the bugs will migrate into the field. And what we have seen in fields that have already flowered is that they are dispersed evenly. So I would urge farmers that while we're working at one end of the region or in a particular area, if they have bugs in aggregation, try to get rid of it as early as possible to prevent them from moving into the field and dispersing evenly across the field, which would cause you to have to spray the entire field rather than just concentrating on the inoculum on the dams and meres.
Also weighing in was head of the extension arm of the GRDB, Cesar Passot. He said farmers must understand the seriousness of the situation and buy in wholeheartedly to the measures that will be promoted over the next few crops. As to not embrace these measures will be to undo the gains in yields realized over the last few years. He urged cooperation with the current spraying exercise and to be proactive and act if they detect the presence of paddy bugs on meres or dams around their rice fields.
For the past 10 to 15 years ago, we would have noticed that our yield would have been 25 to 30 bags, and today our yield is approximately 38 to 45 bags. That increase would have due to our high yielding variety that we have today and the best practice that would have translated or transferred to the farmers, and more so, the willingness of the farmer to adopt those practices. So we have that increase of view. Today we also notice that there is a high incidence of paddy bug, and at the moment we know GRDB had initiated the program of assisting the farmers to spray around their meres, their dams and trenches to eliminate those paddy bugs. And also at this moment here, those cultivation that is in the vegetative stage, we are encouraging the farmers them to assist us in spraying the meres and the surrounding so as to eradicate the paddy bug, and not to spray in the rice field as such, so that we can encourage the build-up of natural enemies. So the event that paddy bug comes, the natural enemy takes care of the paddy bug. Now we have cultivation that is in the flowering stage already, and paddy bug, should paddy bug be in those rice fields, farmers still have to spray that. So we do encourage and imploring on farmers to cooperate with us, our extension staff and the paddy bug management officers, to get the paddy bug out of the surrounding.
General Manager of the Guyana Rice Development Board, Nizam Hassan, says the board is committed to the fight against all pests of rice and will be working along with its international partners in rolling out the plan to reinvigorate the integrated approach to pest and disease management.
Okay, so the GRDB was in touch with FLAR, as we just heard, and two of their consultants came down here basically to do an assessment of the situation. As you would know, given the incidences of paddy bugs that we have seen over the last two crops, we reached out to FLAR for additional assistance to support our research and extension team in executing its job. We were very pleased to have received these two top experts who have been moving around the country. They've gone to all the rice-growing regions on the coast, and they have had a number of sessions with farmers. Through those sessions, they were able to get hands-on and direct feedback from the farmers in terms of their current agronomic practices, some of the good things that they've been doing. They also have heard of some of the things that they should not have been doing. And thus, coming out of this visit, we will have a revamped agronomic practices and programs for our farmers. This is going to be rolled out almost immediately and will be followed through over the next few growing seasons as we move to address the incidences of paddy bugs, but also not only paddy bugs, any other insect pests that may be affecting rice, and also as we move to further enhance and develop the productivity of rice that is being produced in Guyana.
The visit by the two international scientists at the invitation of the GRDB has been welcomed by farmers attending the various interactive sessions between them and the experts, most pledging their support for the planned interventions over the next 2 to 3 crops. Farmers have also welcomed the GRDB's decision to undertake spraying of areas outside of the rice fields, a direct response to their requests for this intervention.
The exercise which I saw, it was released in the press by Peter Allison. It is a good move, and we the farmers would like to assist GRDB in the exercise, because it will assist us in the long run, because we are the beneficiary of this project. And now that the GRDB has embarked to spray in the dams and trenches, it will help us to identify where the bugs are hide or where they are there, living, and kill them before they attack the field.
With the dam and the mere, we will get control under it. If we spray it early, we will control it. But at present now, you get a lot of Gandhi around, so we have to control it early as possible.
Well, that's all the time we have on this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture, a presentation of the Communications Unit, Ministry of Agriculture. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder. This Week in Agriculture is produced for television by Matrix Video Productions and Advertising based in East Berbice. Until next time then, be good to yourselves and to each other.